Hey y'all, so in today's video we did an audit in Fort Stockton, Texas. It's Texas on the 10. It's a city on the 10. About 2.5 hours or so from El Paso, headed east toward Florida. And in this town, we set up a fundraising for our church. I'm a pastor of a church, and we set up a fundraiser. But we had looked at the ordinances beforehand, and there was no ordinances against fundraising for churches. But zoning did show up, the code enforcement, and she just flat out lied. She started quoting ordinances that have everything to do with food service industries and nothing to do with 501c3 nonprofits and fundraising. But she stuck by her guns, though, and she called the guns. The Sergeant Hamilton of the Fort Stockton Police Department, shows up with his gun, his badge, his T-Cole certification, and his threats of arrest of law violations, including both trespass and code violations. And then also said how they could go ahead and enforce that with citations, fines, and possibly incarceration for trespassing. Watch to the end. You'll see the penal code on trespassing, so you can see for yourself the elements and how he's just flat out lying. And you'll also see the code that she quoted as being Chapter 11, Section 11 through 33, has everything to do with food service industry, nothing to do with 501c3. Like, share, and subscribe to the video. We could use it. I'm a data analyst, so I'm not really that bright of a personality. I'm usually working behind the scenes. These videos are, I don't just publish everybody else's videos. These are things that we're doing on the ground, me and my family and our church parishioners and things like that, our congregation. If you could just comment below if you have any questions or any concerns about the video. If you have any information you'd like to share, comment, and let's get to it. Love you all. Hey, you're the zoning officer?
What's that?
You're the zoning officer?
No, I'm a city police officer.
Oh, you're city ordinance. I'm Pastor Andrew Stevens, Church Common Good.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we travel the country, raise money. Right now we have the Sandstones Ranch. It's a spiritual retreat for houseless people that go there. And we were headed over to Florida. We set up.
I saw the Facebook.
Yeah. We were headed over to Florida. It's a nonprofit. We're 501c3. But you know, I guess you pull up probably think commercial or something like that.
Doesn't matter. They have to have a permit to sell anything in this town.
Well, even for donations on church.
Everything.
Yeah. No, I believe you, because ordinances can come from anybody. You know what I mean? So, what is the ordinance?
You have to have the vendor.
Yeah, I just need the ordinance number so I can read the literature on it.
So pretty much all it is, sir, we actually need a letter from the organization that you're with, that you're doing the nonprofit organization.
Yeah, I'm a pastor. She's a treasurer.
Okay, so we actually have to have a letter on file.
Sure.
Okay? And then you can do that Monday through Friday from 8 to 5.
That's all in the literature? You're going to give me the literature, right?
I will.
Okay.
And then, like I said, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And then you actually have to have a letter from the property owner from here.
So private property, because it's usually public. Yeah, you're usually a public officer, so typically private zoning does work private. I get that. Right. But also, follow me for a second, because I will listen here. I promise. I'm a pastor, so I talk and I listen. I do both. We are propagating religion. Okay, so we do that around the country. It's been street ministry. That's how Jesus taught his disciples to do it. What you're describing to me seems to be a violation of the First Amendment. Now, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. But what usually happens when people violate the First Amendment, they do it with their own words, but they don't have literature on it. So what I'm asking you is very specific. Are the things you're telling me, are you backed up by legislation? Whether it be a city legislation, state legislation,
yes,
you know what I mean? It will be legislatively sound. It won't just be an act of discriminatory faction. Right. Like when you pull public records requests, there'll be something that's practiced.
You can pull up you can actually go on the city website, I think, and pull up the ordinances.
And it's something's practiced, right? So like the fire department wouldn't do a boot drive. They wouldn't be doing a boot drive without permit then, right? Okay, that's what we're saying.
Everybody has to have the permit.
Yeah, because obviously street preaching is very difficult, because there was a time we could go to town, and the ones that told us that
So what she's saying too is, not only do you have to have the permit for the city, you have to have permission from the business that you're at.
Well, so you have preemptive trespass?
Yes. Are you allowed to be on this property?
Certainly, unless it's a property owner or
if the property owner, if
the property owner says no, then you'd have to leave. But I mean, what trespassing law are you referring to?
What permission do you have to be here?
You don't have the preemptive provision.
You have to have permission to be there.
What law is that?
We have it.
Otherwise, it's trespassing.
Well, I know the trespassing law. I know how it's written, but
if you have no business on this property, it's trespassing.
Unless somebody asserts their rights to their property, then there would be no trespassing.
No, it's their property. You're not allowed on it.
Oh, I would never argue with a certified law enforcement officer
to be off their property.
Yeah, I would never argue with a TCO.
There's a sign.
But if you
but it's for inside the property.
No, it's not.
Oh well, it would be
all the property.
Oh yeah, well typically I'm not going to argue with TCO certified officer. I'm not going to do that. So you're Jay Hamilton, right?
Now, if you're over here at Walmart and they let you be there, fine, whatever.
Right. So yeah, I don't argue with TCO certified police officers. I talk to TCO. If TCO certifies you to say trespassing is written this way, and the legislation supports that, I would support you 100%.
So for somebody who's just a pastor, you're trying to bait me into stuff.
No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Go ahead and move down the road. Otherwise, you're in violation of the law.
Understood.
I can write you citations. You can write you citation. I can impound your stuff until you see the.
Understood.
Until you see the court.
So, and you're Jay Hamilton. What was your badge number, Jay?
108.
Is it Jay stand for something?
Jason.
Jason. Yeah, handshakes?
Sure.
Hey, I'm a nice guy, man. But if somebody violates the laws,
I hear what you say. No,
if we have to obey laws, so does everybody else. You know what I mean? So including certified officers.
You're more than just a pastor, man. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I am. I'm a data analyst for Audit Archives. You're right. I'm a data analyst for Audit Archives. I am a pastor, though.
But that's why I'm telling you why I'm keeping it short and sweet to what
Well, I mean, the way we look at it, if laws are written, we're not mad. If laws are written, if laws are written, if they are, then that's what it is. I do intend to, but I'll tell you because we are recording, and I know you are. I mean, we're not being, and this is cordial, right? I mean, we're cordial.
No, we're fine.
What I expect to see, don't get me wrong, is that this will have to do with solicitation from a for-profit that you're going to hand me. That or it will have nothing to do with non-profit at all. So what I expect to see is what we consider to be a misrepresentation of the law, and I'm hoping that's not true. You're saying this is a non-profit thing you have going on.
No,
so
you're a non-profit.
Yeah, we're a non-profit.
You're donating. This is for the church.
Yes, it's for a church.
Charity.
Absolutely.
So we're advising you what needs to be done in order for you to be
for a church to do that.
We're not saying you can't.
No. But you can't. But you can't get a permit today, though. You can't get a permit today.
No.
All right.
And those people that come in here selling like this.
Selling is a different word. So selling is solicitation.
Know that they can't get a permit, so they do it anyways.
Well, churches go around the country and raise money all the time. I'm sure your church does too. I mean, all churches. That's how we function. Okay. So that's just a normal function of a church.
That's fine.
Yeah. So when a city says you can't do it, I'm not a lawyer.
It doesn't say we can't do it.
I mean, usually cities don't. Well, usually cities don't charge a permit or tax to a church at all.
What's the name of your church, sir?
Church of Common Good. We've been active since Church of Common Good.
And where's that out of?
Gulfport, Florida is where we're originally out of. We have now 3 locations: one in Arizona, one in California, one in Florida. But we've been open since 2013. We have now we have 2 spiritual retreats, 2 brick and mortars, and then our sower mission, which is what I'm in charge of. So I do the sower mission mainly because I'm an auditor, and you can imagine how often we end up talking to zoning, right, or a city, and we are really big on the gospel of Jesus. The gospel of Jesus says go town to town, and if they don't accept the word of Christ, or they don't, then
this is not the word of Christ. This is jewelry.
Oh no, we talk to both. We do both. We do both.
We're just advising you what needs to be done,
and you're an auditor, and I know what auditors do. So
what auditors do?
I know what you do.
What do they do?
You try to keep us in line.
Is that wrong?
No.
You try to keep society in line.
No,
Who's keeping? Because TCO's that's private. That's like TCO's civilians.
Right. Yeah.
I was just a civilian. I was a data analyst.
But I know I'm listening to.
I'll give you my background, Hamilton.
Throwing out there.
I was a DOD. I'll tell you, I was a DOD data analyst for years.
Here's the deal, man.
And then I retired.
I ain't all day to sit there and listen to
as long as you're telling me the law, she's backing up now.
Back it up.
Well, she is. That's what's going on. I mean, nobody's got to disobey you.
Right.
So
I just don't want.
We're not gonna disobey law.
I've got other things.
If you're wrong, TCO would say you were wrong, because that's why we publish everything. So that way it can be audited and looked at and reviewed by our lawyers and things like that.
I've dealt with other auditors.
Some of them are butts. Some of them are butts, man. Like I can't speak for every cop. You can't speak for every cop out there either. So like there's a lot of auditors out there now.
Right. And some of them are just out there to instigate stuff.
Some of them shouldn't be calling themselves auditors.
That's what I'm.
Some of them are just out there. They're just butthurt for something that happened in their life, and they're mad. In my case, I told her, this gentleman from Ford, I was holding a sign. Well, we had a sign that says banner socks for the homeless. There's a banner, printed banner. We have fast signs done, and we did that. It started in Florida, in Orlando. We were on International Boulevard. Cops would come and donate socks, and so firefighters. No problem, right? So one day we left the banner at the church, and I said, "Well, just put it on a cardboard sign. It says the same thing." What'd you think happened?
You can't on a cardboard sign.
Oh, why not?
That's now.
Why not? Why not? So what?
Well, It depends on what the sign says.
Same thing, Socks for the Homeless. It was the first audit that we did. It was called an Ananias audit. So
and a lot of it does depend on what the sign
presentation. Fashion police are expensive.
Because
so if we're going to pay you to be fashion police, that means you have to argue with a lot more people because you don't have legislation backing you.
It's not so much the cardboard, it's what's said.
Socks for the Homeless.
I need money for now. I need money.
Socks for the Homeless is what it said.
That's panhandling.
Sure, but panhandling is not illegal in any state in the country.
It is. We got city ordinances against it. So.
Well, yeah, but city ordinances that are unconstitutional can be challenged unless there's a conviction and an appeal. There's nothing challenging.
We have city ordinances. So.
Right.
So if your sign says, "Hey, anything helps,"
yeah,
God bless you.
We often will go to jail for a city ordinance in order to prove a point. Yeah, sure. I mean, I get it. Yeah, because you're not soliciting.
Right. You're not soliciting.
With a church, we're never soliciting because churches fall under 501c3.
Right.
So we're not soliciting. And I believe, don't get me wrong, I'm just following because I want you to understand where I'm coming from. I believe what y'all are doing is what pro quo. It's a pro quo to misinterpretation of the law. Now, I might be wrong. I haven't read the ordinance yet. You know what I mean? So when I read the ordinance, you might be 100% correct.
Okay.
I do believe that she hasn't given me the ordinance either. That when I look at the ordinance and the legislation that was written down by the lawyers, by the city attorney, will not be inclusive of what we're doing.
Okay.
But I may be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, right?
She's the one that knows it.
Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't though. You know how many people I've met that don't know it?
I don't mess with city code so much because we have city
code.
So
that's why we audit them because that's why we audit because who's training them?
If it isn't right,
who's teaching them? Because they should know, or do they know?
Right.
See that's the question. If they do know and they do it anyway,
that's different.
That's different.
But honestly,
I think that we could.
I have been told everybody that sells something.
Selling is different. Solicitation is different from donations. We're donation based.
You're just donation.
Yeah, we were donation based. We have.
So if I gave you $1 for something,
you can't choose what you want. But yes, you don't even have to give us $1. You don't even have to. You're a church. Well, the Catholic. That's not true. I think I can explain this very.
Because a donation for anything that you have.
You can't go to a Catholic festival and buy $1 beer. You can't buy a beer ticket for $1. It's what you're saying is they're suggested donations, but yes, because and that's the way the law. That's the way the law is written. That's the way the law is written. So I do know the law. Whether she does, I don't disagree that you don't. I do. So if maybe you do too, I concur. My hypothesis is that you're going. What's the ordinance we're talking about?
Section 11 through 32.
Section. That's not an ordinance. It's section 11 through 32. That's entire chapters.
Yeah, it is. And I'll get it for you.
You want me to study chapters?
Yeah,
you want me to study chapters? Come on, man. Out of the city ordinance code?
You want to be out here doing it, you better know our
codes.
Well,
right. That's what we're doing. We're finding out what the codes are. Yeah. That's only fair, right?
Yeah.
So that way we don't have like.
If you have to know, we have to know.
We don't have circumstantial enforcement. We have blanket enforcement of law.
Right.
So in order to do that, you have to know what is written. She should know right off the bat what's written there before she enforces something. Like, I mean, but you've been in the business. You're Sergeant, Sarge. You know, so I'm the data analyst that went and got all the certifications from every state.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've heard about us yet on archives. What we did was we compared. We went to each political subdivision. We got the rosters of the people who are employed as police officers at each subdivision. Okay. We then compared them to the TCOL certification list. Well, it's other states too, but TCOL was one of the first ones. Maybe Florida, then Texas. Okay. What we found was 18.5 an average. 18.5% of the officers out there aren't even certified to be officers.
Okay.
You know why they're not certified? Because they took too long off work or they didn't go back there for further training, so they're not certified by legislation. Okay. So there's almost 20% of arrests are being made by a guy who's impersonating an officer. And those are facts. Okay. So to ask somebody to know all their ordinances off the back of their head is a lot. You know, it changes every time they have dang city hall meetings. Yeah. You can't tell all that stuff. I'm not holding nobody at any caliber I wouldn't hold myself at. Right. Right. I do know the bylaws of my church, though. I do know the bylaws of my church.
Your chapter 11, section 11 through 32. Okay, you can look that up on our website.
Section 11 through 32. So 22 chapters
it says
or
11
sections.
through 32, which is what you're going to highlight, and it's going to pull up, and it'll show you all that.
What is that entitled? What is the name of that?
It's in reference to your
solicitation.
What you're doing.
Well, you're referring to what I'm doing. I'm talking about church.
Fundraiser,
fundraising. Okay. So you're not incorporating a fundraiser into solicitation. You're separating
It
two.
says fundraiser.
Fundraising.
In
Okay.
reference to your church.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. Then yeah. And your name was Ava. So you're T-Code certified too, right?
No, I'm not.
You're not, because I know you used to be a cop here, right?
What do you mean?
The local said you used to be a cop here.
I never said I was a cop. When
No,
did I say I was
a local told me you were a cop here.
Oh, well, I never said I was a cop.
But so you're not T-Code certified right now. Okay,
So
that.
I give you your ordinance.
Okay,
You
you-
can just get your stuff.
Oh no, I would never. Again, my intention is never to disagree with someone, other than to find out what is the truth. Are there violations of rights?
And I gave it to you.
And
You can look it up now on your website.
I will.
Look it up when you have time.
Absolutely.
But for right now, we got things we got to do. We got to.
Oh well, I think you're waiting on her, not me, right?
Okay, but you want to help her? I mean, she's your wife.
Oh, I don't know anything. I don't know how she does that. I'm just a pastor of church, man. I don't have no idea how she does. She's the treasurer. Yeah, I'm just waiting for her to get done. I'll help her close it up when she needs my help, but I can't. I don't know how that goes. Chapter 11. And you know, again, just to clarify, Sergeant Hamilton, the way you interpret the trespassing laws in Texas is that unless you get permission to be on somebody's private property, you're automatically trespassed.
Posted a sign right there.
So it doesn't have to be at the. Okay, all right. So if it's on somebody's, and that's going through Texas. So if somebody else has one on their
They can
door,
have purple paint on their building or whatever their property.
yeah,
That's good.
and that covers the whole
Yep.
parcel. Okay, all right. That's good to know, because that's not the same way in every state. I mean, it isn't. Man, Texas got some
I don't
good
know
property
every
rights.
State law that you're going.
Well, we're in Arizona, man. Our spiritual retreat, if we were like violent people, they have some really like hostile laws for trespassing in Arizona, man. So, yeah, we're used to, I think Texas is probably similar to Arizona. Once you have a property, it's your stuff.
Arizona's pretty close.
Yeah.
They have pretty good stuff.
We have really good standards on law enforcement. I went to the Arizona State University. It has one of the best law schools in the country.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm a student, man. I mean, and we think, tell me if you think we're wrong in this. We believe there are people who are claiming qualified immunity when it's not qualified.
Okay.
So we believe we qualify officers through a lot of training, legislation, and then training. 3,800 different schools that are accredited schools.
Okay.
We certify officers. We qualify officers. We don't qualify immunity. We want people to not need qualified immunity. You are so well trained that if you did something contrary to law, you should be held liable for it, right? Because they were training you so well. If I was a contractor and I was like on top of a roof and I fell off the roof, broke my leg, and OSHA, came by and said, you should know better. Like we certify you, we give you a board certificate. You know better. A doctor, if they malpractice, they don't get to say, well, qualified immunity, man. So we think that officers should be at the same levels of training. What do you think about that?
I agree. We need more training. I mean, there's no doubt.
Okay.
I mean,
that's what we're looking for.
That's no doubt. There's
but
no way.
T-Code got to be pressed. They got pressed. They're not easy to deal with, man. You've probably dealt with them. You get they're a civilian board, but they're harder than the cops sometimes, man. Like, I talked to a lot of senior officers and cops that are very willing to listen and implement some things. Some of them have thought that, I don't know, I can't speak for other First Amendment auditors. I don't like the name, because we didn't have that word when I started doing this. I mean, I was a pastor at church, and I just noticed a flaw in what I thought was, it was a state coming against what I believed was the Word of God. I believe that Jesus told his disciples, the Son of Man will have no place to lay his head. When you go in my name, you go with no copper, no silver, no gold, not even 2 pair of tunics. It allows you to meet people along the way who are really in need of seeing the Lord. So you end up identifying with people who really need spiritual healing. And it helps us in the ministry field, I know a lot, immensely,
Right.
And I think that Jesus saw that. And all the way up to Paul. Paul left with Cyrus. He didn't have anything with him either. So up until the church of Antioch, people were practicing the discipleship of Jesus. Now churches say, here's a brick and mortar, come to me. All ye faithful, come to me. Like, I don't want all the faithful. Give me the woman at the well. I want the dirty, the neglected, the hurt. Give me your most humble, meek person who's broken, because that person's going to find the Lord. Until that, they're going to stay on drugs, they're going to stay on alcohol, they're going to stay out there in the streets. I grew up in an urban area where there's a lot of gangbanging and violence, and they're going to be doing that. Now I work a lot with teen outreach. That's what I'm big on, is teen outreach, and that's why I'm going to Florida. My dad lives there, and they have this ministers that go to teen camps. They're like prisons for children, for teenagers, and I'm gonna start doing that there. But I can be kind of rough when I ask questions. Don't tell me that is it the auditor ask the questions?
I've been worse I've been through worse audits than you. So.
Is it? Don't you think that it's when the auditor asks the tough questions, it feels like an ambush interview, and the cop is trying to make.
It depends on what questions you consider tough. I mean,
you
talk fast.
Yeah, I do talk
so
fast.
I listen to what you say.
Yeah.
I've been to court too many times.
You've been to court a lot of times.
I deal with lawyers.
Yeah.
So I listen to what you say.
I never got my bar certification. I wanted to, and then I went. Ministry takes up my time, man. I haven't time to do it.
Right.
But yeah, with amicus briefs nowadays, we're really interested in now. Nobody's ever prosecuted for auditing. Oh, the ones that break the law while they're doing it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we've had guys come in and they're just like, oh well.
Some of the Texas guys are rough.
They have different color vehicles.
Oh yeah.
We got 2 different units. We changed colors.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
They went off on us stuff that just.
That's too petty. It's too petty. What we're looking for is audit following.
They just kept going on and on.
Looking for something to make you look bad.
It was just to make us look bad. No. If we're wrong, we're wrong. Let us know. We'll take care of it.
Well, I mean, if you're interpreting a law wrong while somebody's telling you you're wrong, do you feel like you have the burden to investigate further?
If it's actually wrong,
yeah.
Then
do either you or her know what she's talking about? I don't think so.
As far as I know,
you don't, right? You can't speak for her.
The most I know is you have to have a permit to be out here.
Soliciting.
Basically,
soliciting.
It's a group thing for me. Now, how detailed that ordinance goes, I don't know.
So, if I give you a call later on to do a public records request of this interview, you got the footage, though, right?
Yeah. Totally.
All right. Because I mean, I have a feeling that because we have to document it as pastors, we have to know where we are in the country if they're violating rights. Okay. I'm a nice guy, but I do believe this is a rights violation. I'm just very nicely said.
If it is, it's not because I'm doing it just because.
Qualified immunity is great, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
that's why I asked you if you have a burden to investigate further.
I mean, I'll look at it.
Okay.
I have no problems looking at it.
Because I think that she is quoting something that does not have to do with what we're doing. She's just saying it's what we're doing.
Okay.
I believe that this is an attempt to do an action, get people to move along. I mean, that's to accomplish goal. And we call it fashion policing.
Okay.
So we believe it is over blight, fashion, these type of things. We don't believe that has anything to do with legislatively sound reasoning.
Now the legislation, the ordinances we have may not be sound.
So you have some.
So,
that happens.
Hey,
that happens.
And if they're not,
that happens.
Technically, we have to enforce them, but at the same time,
they'd be challenged.
Yeah.
I
don't want to deal with.
Well, because then the challenge goes to the appeals court, and all of a sudden it just looks bad on the city attorney. He's like, why would you approve this? Like,
I mean, we have some for cell phone use right now. How do you prove that somebody's using a cell phone?
Yeah, you don't know if they're. You don't know if they're holding it. You don't know what they're doing.
So I don't enforce.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I know they're trying. I know they're getting at. They just didn't write it right.
What's that?
I know what they're getting at. To keep drivers, being distracted.
It's big time.
It's reckless hop. I mean, I guess if you have somebody swerving while they're doing it.
Right, or they hit cars or something.
Sure, it'd be reckless hop.
But just because you're going down the road like this, and
if as long as you're driving good,
because they specifically take out, GPS or radio or whatever. How do I know you're not
using your maps or something?
Yeah.
And that's just true.
There's certain things, they're there.
Yeah.
Hell, that's a state law.
Right. Oh, that's a penal code. Yeah.
You can't enforce it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, and I think.
And I won't enforce.
And so y'all don't have any. Y'all have no other churches here that do outside ministries, and fundraise on public area, or even on private property that's not theirs.
Unless they do it at the churches, like they have their little fundraisers.
Only at their brick and mortars. Yeah. We very rarely see a place that doesn't have like fire officer or firefighter boot drives. Toys for Tots.
Used to do them here. They stopped.
Toys for Tots. The Salvation Army out in ringing a bell in front of a Walmart. None of that. You don't have Salvation Army in front of a Walmart? Wow, man.
Yeah, I know. Because during Christmas.
There's a Girl Scout right now.
What's that?
There's Girl Scouts right now.
There's our Girl Scouts?
Yeah, in front of Walmart right now. So I'm just trying to feel on what we're talking about here.
I didn't know Girl Scouts were open.
Yeah, they're 501c3. It's on private property. It's not theirs.
Okay.
The only difference is
they're allowed to be there.
They have pre-permission, and what you're saying is a sign takes away that pre-permission. Right. And I don't know if I disagree with that, because if the no trespassing is on the door, they might mean a parking lot too. I mean,
it does.
I don't know if I
like this. He owns the parking lot.
Sure.
It's his parking lot.
It's not shared or anything like that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We were talking about using a dirt lot down there by O'Reilly's, which is for sale.
It's still owned by somebody.
It doesn't say no trespassing though. Yeah, I see you. See where you're going? You see what I'm getting at? It says for sale, which is fine, but it doesn't say no trespassing. There's no building to stick it on. But yeah, you can put a sign up.
Yeah, they can put a sign underneath.
But I think she'd have showed up anyway. And that's what I'm trying to get at, Hamilton, is that I think that the ordinance is being utilized in a way that's inconsistent with legislation. Because I can't find any. I'm gonna read it before I'm not speaking until I'm gonna read it.
I'm gonna go look at it.
I'm gonna read it, bub.
I'm gonna go look at it.
But yeah, because we do have to get through the country.
So are you looking under the nonprofit fundraising, or are you looking under city ordinances that?
Well, it would be fundraising because we are a church,
okay,
and we have suggested donations, but all that's covered by federal law. So we follow we have to follow 501c3 federal IRS guideline in order to be 501c3 compliant.
Okay.
So that's something that's covered already. Now, city ordinances can I've never seen one that can stop a church fundraiser unless I've seen free permits. Quartzsite, Arizona had a free permit. You could go and just register your church there with the city, but they definitely couldn't charge money.
Okay.
But I looked on your ordinances before we set up, like, and what it did not appear. That's why I don't believe it, because it did not. Yeah, I didn't see it. I'm a data analyst, so I'm not saying I know everything, but my job is to analyze data. That's what I do all day, every day. So, well, other than preaching and ministry work, that's the second job. That's calling. It's a little different job. My job is a data analyst, and so for a zoning officer to say, "Hey, you missed something that's 20 chapters long, or 20 sections long in our ordinances," I don't truly believe that. Now, I can't say no, but I can, as long as I can get all the data back from this interaction. I can then say that this zoning officer has a due diligence to actually know what she's talking about if she's going to enforce it.
Okay.
She must have that. Oh. So then that would be, and I would expect her to use her due diligence and know what she's talking about. Okay. That's what makes you a zoning officer. You understand the codes. Now, if she's enforcing them incorrectly, intentionally, I can't prove that. Quantitative data can prove that. A series of events. Okay. So that's how we got Brady lists and Giglio lists and things like that, is from quantitative data. Qualitative data, which is what we have here, can never prove malice or intent or motive.
Right.
But most people know what's going on. And that's why the court of public opinion is so powerful. Most people know that what we're saying is accurate. Okay. The vast majority of Americans.
Like I said, I haven't looked in that close of it, of what it costs for nonprofit or whatever. I haven't looked.
But you'll enforce it, though.
Everybody, not enforcing it.
Well, you're here to back up the enforcement. You have to go
I'm here because she called me to be.
For what reason? I question the authenticity of the law.
She doesn't have a camera. I do. So.
Oh, okay. She doesn't have a camera.
I do.
She should have cameras too, because she's enforcing code.
Right.
100% should have cameras. I feel like she came because I asked for my body camera, and that's when she pulled the phone.
Huh.
I asked Michelle to hand me my body camera, and the moment I did, that's when she picked up the phone to call you.
Okay.
So if you want my opinion, I believe she's falsely enforcing, utilizing your badge and gun. Okay. So if you don't know it either, and she don't know it, or she's just misquoting it, and you're enforcing it for her, somebody has to do diligence to find out, right?
And I will, so we get out of here.
Hopefully she will, because she's the one enforcing it. But you do have a boss, right? You're not the head of the code enforcement, are you?
No, I do have a boss.
What's your boss's name?
Roy Mendoza.
Ray Mendoza?
Roy Mendoza.
Roy Mendoza, okay. And you're not misquoting law. This is exactly how the law is written.
This is how our ordinance is.
That's a law in a city. So the ordinance is a law in a city. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay.
Let me get the. Alright, thank you.
I hope you're confident enough on that to back it to a review board, because if you're wrong, I'm definitely going to submit all my findings to the review board. And yeah, I hope that, because we would definitely want to honor anything the city puts in place for the city. It is your city. We respect that. I want to make that very clear. Your city, we respect your wishes as a city. And that includes the city councilman's opinion, the mayor's opinion, and the city attorney's opinion. So that I want you to know that there's no bucking of authority. There's no rebelliousness here. But I'm going to say that you're probably wrong. I believe you are.
And if she is, we'll correct it.
Okay, I believe it's wrong.
That's not an issue.
Okay.
We'll get with the city attorney and we'll correct the problem.
Awesome, awesome.
That's not an issue. That's why you guys are doing what you're doing. That's not an issue.
Problem is a problem. Well, the only thing that would be wrong here, because obviously Girl Scouts is set in front of Walmart. You just said that, right?
No, I did not.
Oh, Girl Scouts can't set in front of Walmart? You just said that. You just said they had permission.
I didn't even know they were.
Oh yeah, they
You said
are.
They were.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
So that's okay in your city. All right, that's what I mean. You wouldn't enforce it. What you are saying is that no trespassing covers a parking lot. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. That's the only thing I see. I don't know why code enforcement would be enforcing trespassing,
Okay.
but you're here now, and I don't believe that because you go right over to the Girl Scouts and you tell them
I
they can't.
haven't gone over there. I didn't even know they were there.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I will go over there.
Okay, yeah,
So,
because they
like I
follow the
said-
same laws as
like
we
I
would.
said, we didn't say you were doing anything wrong. You just have to take the proper steps to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
So the city ordinance is chapter 11, section 11 through 32. Okay?
Chapter 11
And
11 through 32.
Basically, what it says, you just have to advise us of what your fundraising.
What's your intention? Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
What your fundraising is for.
Sure.
Okay. We have a letter on file. We
Usually
give
it's
you a
hard to do that
permit.
when you're passing through towns doing
Okay.
ministry.
Well, we give you a permit, right?
Yeah.
And we don't charge you for the permit. We
Okay,
just have
there's
to
no
have
charge.
no, there's no charge.
Okay.
We just have to have your letter of what it is that you're fundraising for.
Uh huh.
Basically, that your church is real.
Yeah, you
know
pay your
what I'm
paperwork for
saying?
the church.
Right.
Sure.
That's it.
Sure.
And then we give us a time when you're going to be here, and you're good to go. And then
Okay.
you have to have
Because she can
your-
show you the paperwork for the church anytime she wants if
and
you
then
ask for it.
And then you have
Yeah.
to have a letter from the property owner stating it's okay for you to set up in their area.
Right, and I agree that that's consistent with what you told me earlier. I see inconsistencies in normal practice with Girl Scout cookies.
Okay. Well,
I
I
see.
didn't know they were there, but I'll
Okay,
head that way.
and I saw inconsistencies yesterday with another fundraiser down the street here. So
Which one down the
it was. I didn't stop. It was like if they had a blood bank or something like that.
I didn't see
We didn't
that.
have a blood bank.
Yeah,
It wasn't?
They advertise all that stuff.
Oh, they might have been just driving through and parked.
Maybe.
That might be what it is.
Usually we hear about all that stuff. They're
And I
on
didn't
top
see
of this
it
stuff.
either, and they
Okay.
always call us. So that's how I
Okay,
got
so
called today.
they call it. Yep, yeah, you got called from us by somebody.
Our the head guys, the city manager and stuff like that, they drive around on the weekends too.
I'm sure they watch the Facebook too.
Yeah, I was
I
on
mean, I'm
Facebook.
not being quiet. I mean,
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
how you get stuff.
yeah. You have to tell people that what you're doing.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not being quiet. I don't always blast on their Church of Common Good, right? Because I would, but I'll be honest with you, out west sometimes they, that
It depends on where you're at.
Yeah, it depends on where you're at, and but it is written on the side of the wall there, and the paperwork's inside the trailer. So we do keep all the paperwork with us. But yeah, if what you're saying is authentic, it looks like it needs to be challenged on a city level, and that's what our lawyers do. So like if it's an unconstitutional ordinance, which that we see it all the time. He's already mentioned the panhandling ordinance, which we know is unconstitutional. You do too. I know you do, because it's a 2017 case. It was out of Florida. It was a federal case. But regardless, it's because it's freedom of expression. But what I'm getting at is that if ordinance does violate constitutional law, that's not your problem. That's not your problem.
No.
That's the city's problem.
I didn't write it.
You didn't write it. But yeah, we'll get out of your way and out of your hair.
Appreciate it.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your time. You said
Hey,
Ada,
if
right?
I want to do it again, like I said, just give
And when we
us
come back through, I'll call you a week
Yes.
beforehand or something like that. Well,
Yeah, get it up. Get
we
that
usually
up.
don't set up till weekends anyway, because people are out on ranches and stuff. There's,
But that's fine.
yeah.
But if you,
Call and get a
yeah.
permit before.
Okay,
Yeah.
for that day.
If you know you're going to pass through, call us. Monday through
Absolutely.
Friday.
Right.
All right, and you're Ada? Oh, I'm sorry.
Evangelina, Ava for short. People can't say Evangelina.
Evangelina. Okay, Evangelina. Oh, we have a friend named Evangelina, so yeah, it makes it easy for us. And Sergeant Jason Hamilton.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. Thank you for being so professional, and yeah, thank you so much.
y'all. Have a nice
God
day.
bless now.
Likewise.
I'll see you there. What do you think the chances are that she just fed me a whole bunch of horse shit?
Not talking about it.
You're not talking about it. So you're a public official. You're not gonna tell me. What do you think the chances are she was full of horse shit? That she was talking about food businesses. What do you think it was? Sarge, man, you enforced that law. You don't want to talk?